Hi, everybody. Welcome back into GamecocksOnline.com at Williams-Brice Stadium. Cory Burkarth and Andy Demetra. Glad to have you with us as it is now officially fall. And Andy, the Gamecocks return home this weekend to host Central Florida. Noon kickoff set for ESPNU. A big game for South Carolina alongside all of the action. Current SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and former Commissioners Roy Kramer and Mike Slive will be in the house to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Gamecocks joining the SEC. But Andy, all of that back to the game. Central Florida, the Knights, set the stage for a big game on Saturday.
It was a disappointing weekend last week in Athens, Cory. There's no denying that. But you take solace in and gain strength from the fact that you're back at home. And South Carolina will certainly look to ride that home field advantage on Saturday. The Knights come in struggling themselves. 0-3. They have the nation's lowest total offense in the nation. They've yet to surpass 15 points in the game. 2 of their losses have come by 1 point. Yet they're probably looking at this South Carolina team defensively and saying they might be the opponent we need to get back on track. It'll be an interesting dynamic Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium, but the operative word, Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll see if South Carolina can ride that home field advantage on Saturday.
Always good to be home here at the Brice in front of the home fans. Andy, we will start on the offensive side of the ball today. If you missed it, on Tuesday, South Carolina head coach Steve Spurrier addressed the quarterback position and broke a little news. Here's what he had to say.
Lorenzo Nunez is going to start the game. I understand he was in here a while back. Nobody asked him if he was starting, but he's going to start the game. Yeah, we're going to let him go play. Certainly, we believe the other quarterbacks will probably play some in the course of the game. Perry Orth, maybe even Michael Scarnecchia. Just depends on how the game goes. But Lorenzo gives us maybe a little spark in there that we need offensively.
All right, well, Andy, you heard what Coach had to say about Lorenzo Nunez. He's going to get the start on Saturday. Talk about him and what he brings to the table for the Gamecocks.
The first true freshman quarterback who has ever started in Steve Spurrier's coaching career, and the first true freshman to start at quarterback at South Carolina since 1999. But I think Lorenzo Nunez earned that assignment based on what he did against Georgia. Led the team in rushing yards, completed 4 or 5 of his passes, didn't look like he was rattled by the environment or the opponent. And the asset that he brings to this game on Saturday is his ability to rip off yards with his feet. This UCF team is pretty good defensively. If you look at their numbers, it might get overshadowed in their 0-3 record. And South Carolina, if their receivers struggle to get open downfield, you have a quarterback in Lorenzo Nunez now who's able to freelance, break off from the play, and rip off yards downfield with his legs. I think that'll be very important for the Gamecocks Saturday. We'll still see Perry Orth. Michael Scarnecchia might get some action according to Steve Spurrier, but Lorenzo Nunez, I think, earned this assignment based on what he did against the Bulldogs.
As we jump sides of the ball, talk about South Carolina's defense, we will start off talking about Central Florida's offense. You mentioned their offensive struggles that they've had this season. They've had 2 one-point losses through 3 games this season, so obviously they could very easily be 2-1 heading into this game. So as you look at South Carolina's defense, I remember back to last week, Sky Moore and Coach Hoke talked about the team has had very good practices, just translating it onto Saturday. So talk about some of the changes we may see on defense and what the Gamecocks will try to do on Saturday.
There are going to be some changes in assignment. Sky Moore moves over to weak side linebacker, and TJ Holloman moves into the middle. The Gamecocks are going to still trust their scheme, and I talked with Isaiah Johnson about that this week for our Radio Network pregame interview. They still have a lot of belief in this system. It's just about executing it better, getting a couple of plays strung together where everything clicks. Isaiah Johnson thinks might get this defense on track. And they're facing a UCF team that is far away from the days of Blake Bortles when the Gamecocks and Knights last met in 2013. UCF right now is only averaging 248 yards of offense per game. That's dead last in the country. The next lowest output right now is 292 yards of offense per game. So the Knights are down at the bottom with some room to spare. But South Carolina obviously needs to prove that it can be a little more consistent defensively. Certainly begins with that first half. They've yet to force a punt this season in the first half. They can get a couple of those, start feeling better about themselves, maybe rekindle that pass rush which they had against North Carolina. Didn't have much of in the 2 SEC games versus Kentucky and Georgia. You might see that defense turn the page.
If the Gamecocks can play well on Saturday, obviously that would serve as a great opportunity as they get ready to jump back into SEC play throughout the rest of the season. Saturday's game set for a 12 o'clock kickoff. Of course, the game available on the Gamecock IMG Radio Network. Our good buddies Todd Ellis and Tommy Suggs with the call upstairs. Andy, talk to us about our pregame coverage on the radio network.
It'll all start up at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday. We'll get you all set up if you're driving into Williams-Brice Stadium, and when you leave the stadium as well. Blanks and more now have your post-game call-in show. Full day of action, full day of coverage on the Gamecock IMG Sports Network.
All right, well, Andy, we appreciate you joining us. Gamecock fans, for those of you heading to Columbia this weekend for the game, please drive safely. For Andy Demetra, our director, Matt Freed, I'm Cory Burkarth. Enjoy the game.